Continue this discussion by focusing on the national security threat posed by the Democrat Party in this country with former U.S. State Department spokeswoman and founder of Polaris International Security, Morgan Ortagus. Morgan, it's great to see you as always. Radical Democrats, they're calling on funding for the Palestinian territory while simultaneously calling to end financial support for Israel. Morgan, there's no way to ensure the funds intended for humanitarian aid won't be hijacked by Iran and their Hamas terrorists, correct?
Well, correct, and that's why we stopped the funding to the Palestinians during the Trump administration in which I served. One of the reasons is there was actually a pay-for-slay policy, and that's where the families of people who were a suicide bomber and who, committed jihad or, blew themselves up, would actually get paid for that. There was a financial incentive for them. And that was the Taylor Force Act that was passed in the Congress to ensure that American funds could not go to the Palestinian Authority as long as they were paying off the families of suicide bombers. Seems pretty simple to me. We also, because we knew that that money was going to get into the hands of terrorism, we decided to cut off that money in the Trump administration. And what did the Biden administration do? Day one, they reinstituted that money. And this is, of course, I'm referring to the Palestinian territories. Now let's go over to Iran and what happened there. So as you know, we instituted the maximum economic pressure campaign against the Islamic Republic of Iran. And there are actually still sanctions on the book 3 years into Biden's presidency that they have not been enforcing. So when they didn't enforce those oil sanctions that are on the books, that means that the Iranian regime has been able to get $80 billion more in oil revenue over the last 3 years because of the unenforced sanctions. What does that lead into, Chris? That leads into just 3 weeks ago, the $6 billion, the largest ransom ever paid for American hostages that the Biden team gave to the Iranian regime. Now they're saying, but they haven't accessed the funds yet. Okay, good. Then take them away.
Yeah. Why not? As a matter of fact, they won't commit to taking them away. That's absolutely true. Now, let's expand on this discussion because, as you know, Joe Biden has remained silent on Iran following reports that expose their role in Hamas's attack on Israel. This, as Senator Ted Cruz visited with us yesterday, revealing that Biden has systematically been releasing millions, not just the 6 million, millions more, and I think some of this you've articulated already, into the #1 state sponsor of terrorism, Iran. Estimates show the Democrats have swelled Iranian coffers by $50 to $60 million since Biden's occupation of the Oval Office began. Now, have you heard about the reports other than the ones you just cited? And how dangerous is Iran, a country that wants to wipe Israel off the map, when given this kind of money?
Well, it's incredibly dangerous. I'm glad that you're bringing it up. So you have to know, first of all, that the attack that killed, I think we're at 22 Americans now, Chris. The number has sadly been going up on the hour. And so that was the last number that I saw. So when you look at over 1,000 Israelis killed, and of course, 22 of our own, and sadly, maybe even growing in that number that were killed, this was a terror attack, not just against the state of Israel, but also against the United States of America. That terror attack could not have happened without the funding, the training, and the equipping of Hamas from the Islamic Republic of Iran. And this is their playbook around the region. They don't necessarily like to get their hands dirty themselves. They like to have these terrorist groups, these Shia proxy groups throughout the region where they foment violence and unrest in the Middle East. They definitely wanted to stop peace in the Middle East. The Islamic Republic of Iran hated the Abraham Accords, hated it. They hated the fact that maybe Saudi was also considering joining those accords. So make no mistake, number one, they would love to wipe Israel off the map. That's what they state that they would like to do. And number two, they wanted to stop any further peace between Israel and Arab states, because as you'll remember, in the Trump administration, we negotiated 4 peace deals between Israel and Arab states, the first in 26 years. And 3 years later, I have to tell you, Chris, 3 years ago, I was very pregnant with my daughter. I was standing in the White House. I was both in the Oval Office and out on the lawn when we had those historic moments where where the leaders of the 3 countries were signing those agreements. I remember it like it was yesterday. And as somebody who was intimately involved, and there was only a few of us, a lot of people claim to be a part of Abraham Accords that weren't, but there was just a few of us, a handful of us that were involved in Abraham Accords. And to go from that moment to that signing, what we had in the Trump administration, 3 years later, to see the images that you were just showing to your audience is devastating. It's truly devastating.
It's a gut punch. It's a gut punch. Look, I've only got about 45 seconds left, and I couldn't let you go without commenting on this story. As you know, the Democrats are unapologetically supportive of Black Lives Matter. And the chapter in Chicago posting a disturbing post on X celebrating Hamas's massacre of innocent Jews. I want to get your reaction to this.
You know, people are showing us exactly who they are. And this is a friend of mine posted on Facebook, a rabbi, and he said, I now know who would hide me in the attic if needed. And I also now know who would watch as I'm carted away, to the death camps. That's, of course, what happened during the Holocaust. And so I say, I welcome these statements. And why do I say that, Chris? Because people are exposing themselves. They're showing exactly who they are. They're showing the virulent anti-Semitism on the left that they try to masquerade as anti-Zionism. Yep,
and we also know who the collaborators would be. Morgan
That's
Ortagus,
right.
thank you very much.